This week, LG finally announced a proper successor to the V30, the LG V40 ThinQ. As one would expect, it is better in many ways, with a bigger screen, a better loudspeaker, and the most powerful processing hardware an Android phone can get right now. But without a doubt, the most exciting aspect of this shiny new handset is its heavy camera arsenal. With 3 cameras at the back and 2 more at the front, the LG V40 aims to be the ultimate instrument for media creation. Selling for between $900 and $980, depending on the carrier. The V40 ThinQ is again competing with the best in the smartphone market. So, can this triple camera phone execute well enough to push LG over the hump and solidify the V40 ThinQ as one of the best smartphones money can buy? We used it for a week to find out. In the box, LG V40 ThinQ, USB-C charging cable and wall adapter, earbuds with mic and 3.5mm jack, warranty and quick start booklets. Looking back at its origins, it's clear that the LG V series has come a long way aesthetically. Last year's V30 was simple, practical, and sleek, not to mention that its display didn't have a notch. This notchless design is no longer employed on the V40 ThinQ, which now has an elongated screen, 6 inches on the V30 to 6.4 on the V40, and 2 cameras and an earpiece housed within the medium-sized notch. The V40 is still quite the looker, though, and turning it around to reveal its beefy 3-camera setup creates a particularly futuristic aesthetic. Of course, more on that later. Other differences to note: the addition of a dedicated Google Assistant button on the left side and a power lock button on the right side. The former is well placed and stays out of the way of errand presses, while the latter is also ergonomically sound. Nixing the power button functionality from the fingerprint scanner, as was previously the setup on the V30. IP68 water and dust resistance round out the V40's design elements nicely. Loaded on the V40 ThinQ is LG's proprietary flavor of Android 8.1, LG UX. As always, this affords users a clean and straightforward interface with a few extra goodies. There's nothing new to report here, but we do have familiar extras like the floating bar, a floating icon which gives access to a carousel of customizable app shortcuts, and actions, knock-on, which serves as an option to wake up or lock the phone via 2 quick taps on the screen, and context awareness, which adds a degree of automation to your phone experience by letting you create various automated functions like opening a specific music app when you plug in headphones or turning off Wi-Fi when you leave the house, for example. All of these additions are easy to use and easy to find through the settings or search functionalities within the V40. LG does a fine job of offering extras without overcomplicating these features or the menus through which you'll find them. The V40 ThinQ is LG's most potent device, and as most other high-end Android phones around, it packs Qualcomm's Snapdragon 845 flagship SoC. The chip is paired with 6 GB of RAM and 64 GB of storage, expandable with a micro SD card. As can be expected, this setup produces great results in day-to-day use. Whatever your workflow might be, multitasking and jumping from app to app goes off without a hitch or stutter to speak of. You'll be hard-pressed to make the V40 break a sweat in regular usage. But gaming performance was a little disappointing, as performance showed more dropped frames than we'd like to see at this level. Dual-band Wi-Fi, NFC, and Bluetooth 5.0 are requisites we expected to find on the V40 ThinQ. Once it is released, the phone will be available on all major US networks: Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, and US Cellular. The camera setup is the most significant standout feature of the LG V40 ThinQ. At the back we see a triple camera arrangement that's unique in the industry right now and promises plenty of creative freedom. And two more cameras are found in the front. Here's what all this hardware breaks down to: a 12MP main camera with a standard lens for everyday photography. It has an f1.5 aperture, OIS, and dual-phase detection autofocus. Of note is that the sensor has less megapixels than the camera on the LG V30 or the LG G7, but it uses larger, 1.4 micron pixels, which should result in better image quality. A 16MP camera with a wide-angle lens with f1.9 aperture and 107-degree field of view. This cam appears to be similar, if not identical to what we had on the LG G7. In other words, this camera will coming to save the day when you just have too much you're trying to fit into the frame. A 12MP telephoto camera with f2.4 aperture for 2x optical zoom, bringing your subject closer without you having to step forward. 8MP standard front-facing camera for fabulous self-portraits and a 5MP wide-angle selfie snapper for those epic group photos. AI is also employed in the background and helps to decrease motion blur via multi-frame HDR on all three senses. For example, AI cam mode is still here with its ability to recognize what you're taking a photo of and applying the camera settings it sees fit, with the results still being a mixed bag. Video shot on the V40 ThinQ can be captured in 4K up to 60 FPS, or the more common 30 FPS, both with HDR10 capability in ideal situations. Either selection will produce well-detailed, steady video with accurate color representation and pretty good exposure. Though the 60 FPS option disables software stabilization, the results are still quite pleasing, but 4K at 30 FPS and all resolutions below this will have a slight but noticeable edge in steadiness. We're happy to see that we're able to switch between a regular lens and telephoto lens during filming, either through the zoom function or a toggle button between both, but only when there is sufficient lighting. Unfortunately, due to physical hardware limitations, only two of the cameras can be linked to work together, leaving the wide-angle camera out of this zooming party. Cine Video is still on board with the LG V40 ThinQ, offering a variety of film genre-inspired filters and the unique and cinematic point zoom feature, which zooms the camera in on a specific point of the screen. Calls come through very well on the V40, be it for the caller or the receiver. Both the earpiece and microphone deliver enviable clarity, while the speakerphone gets plenty loud. Speaking of the loud speakerphone, the V40 ThinQ unfortunately still uses only one speaker to produce sound, but it does have the boombox speaker trick up its sleeve. This makes the phone sound louder when rested on a flat surface but has negligible, if any, effect when holding the phone. Plug in a set of high-impedance headphones into the V40's 3.5mm headphone jack and you'll be treated to an audiophile stream thanks to the 32-bit quad DAC. This allows the playback of higher fidelity music files and comes with LG's usual manual controls to tweak the sound just your liking. And tweak we did. The experience is straightforward and effective. The V40 ThinQ comes with a 3300 mAh battery with Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0 and fast wireless charging. Battery life didn't blow us away, though. In fact, compared to last year's V30, the V40 ThinQ lasted a full 3 hours less in our custom battery drain test, clocking an underwhelming 6.5 hours. This should be about good enough to get a day's use in most cases, but not much more. Recharge times were pleasing, though, juicing up from 0 to 100 in 109 minutes. LG seems to have its heart in the right place with the LG V40 ThinQ, but even the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. 3 capable cameras with lenses designed to capture 3 of the most fun and useful perspectives: wide-angle, regular, and 2x zoom. Sounds like a dream, and in many respects, it is. We love the versatility. What we, and most consumers spending nearly $1,000 on a phone, might appreciate more, though, is a regular camera that is always up to the task, and unfortunately, we can't say that about the V40 ThinQ. Day-to-day performance won't leave you wanting for much, but battery efficiency has taken a sharp downturn from the V30 of last year. All in all, it's hard to say that the V40 ThinQ is a much better buy than the 2017 V30 was, and the V30 didn't even best the competition then. 1 year later, the competition has improved, while the V40's added a camera.